Is James Smither of the Grand Valley State University Veterans History Project. Now, Mr. Lyles, can you kind of begin at the beginning for us? Where and when were you born?
I was born May 10, 1920, Amory, Mississippi.
All right. Now, did you grow up there or did you move around?
I grew up there.
Okay. And what did your family do for a living when you were growing up?
My mother she worked worked for the white people in the kitchen. She was a maid.
Okay, maid, cook, housekeeper.
Yeah.
Did you do cooking too, or just cleaning, or?
Yeah.
Okay, housekeeping. All right. And then, did you have other relatives around who were helping support her, or was she on her own?
She was on her own.
And were there other kids in the family?
No, always one.
Just you. Okay. Now, what kind of schooling did you get?
Well, not too much school. I went to the 10th grade.
Okay.
Stopped and went to work.
Okay. Now, were these segregated schools? So were you in all-black schools?
We all were segregated school. We had our own school.
Right.
In the later years, they could go without going, and the younger generation.
Okay. So you go through about the 10th grade. Now, what kind of work did you do when you stopped school?
Worked on an ice truck, selling ice.
So would you take big blocks of ice around to people's homes?
To people's house. And a wagon, and I had a horse, there was stop at every place I would go out. Take my ice out, and he'd go to the next place and stop. Then we get to the end of the road, he would turn around. And I'd get loaded. If I got empty, I'd put my lines on the seat and hit him, and he'd go to the ice plant, get the ice, and they send him back. He'd come right back to where he left me.
Right.
And I continued
How heavy were the blocks of ice, do you think?
They weighed about 300 pounds, but you would cut them in blocks, 50 pounds, 5 pounds, 50 pounds.
Okay.
Blocks.
Now, would you go up to a customer's house and find out how much they wanted, or did you already know and they had an order?
I already know that I needed
Okay.
every day. So.
All right. Now, did people use the ice for refrigeration? Was that keep the food?
Yeah, they had ice box with ice there and kept the
Right.
food and stuff in it.
All right. Now, when you were doing that, were you still living with your mother?
Right.
Okay. Now, how long did you do that sort of work?
I did that until I went in a seed mill, I went in a cottonseed plant.
A cottonseed plant.
Yeah, where we were making food for the horses and cows and
Okay.
chickens.
All right. Did that pay better than the ice delivery?
Oh, about the same.
All right. Now, when you're going about your business and you're doing this kind of stuff, and before we get to Pearl Harbor, so like 1939, 1940, you're 19, 20 years old, did you have any idea of what was going on in the rest of the world?
No.
There was a war going on in Europe, that kind of thing?
No.
I mean, your world was just kind of right around you. Okay. Now, did you get married before you joined the service, or were you still single?
After
Okay.
still.
All right. Now, do you remember hearing about Pearl Harbor and the war starting?
Yeah.
And how did you learn about that?
Well, we had radio.
Okay, so you hear about it in the radio. And then, when you heard about that, did you think you should probably go join the Army right away, or did you not worry about it? Or?
I didn't worry about it. After my friends, they volunteered and signed up to go there. That left me, and I volunteered.
Okay. So they joined pretty early after Pearl Harbor, and then a little while later you decide, okay, they're gone, I might as well go too.
Go to him.
All right. Just afraid people will have a hard time hearing you with that thing making noise. So, okay, so we got you to the point where you decided, probably we think in 1942 sometime, say, okay, I'm going to go join the Army. So, what did you have to do in order to enlist? Was there a recruitment office nearby, or?
No, I just went to the office.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the recruiting office.
Now, was there one in Amory, or did you have to go to a bigger town?
In Amory.
All right. And then after you signed up, what did they do with you?
I went to full Knox, I believe.
That's in Kentucky?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because that was a big training and processing center.
Right.
Now, and did you do your basic training there?
Yeah.
All right. How did they get you up to Fort Knox?
Well, we went to a little place, and they picked us all of us that was going into the Army.
Mm-hmm. And did you take a train up, or
bus?
Or just a bus? Okay.
Bus.
All right, took a bus. And you get to Fort Knox. What kind of reception did you get? You arrived at Fort Knox, get off the bus, what happens?
Well, they lined us all up and carried us to the barracks to give us clothes. We had to leave our clothes, and they put us in the barracks.
All right. And do you have an idea about how many men went into each barracks? A couple dozen, or a couple hundred, or?
No, I think around about maybe 30 or 32 small.
All right. Now, were these the same kinds of barracks that the white soldiers had?
Yeah, they was all alike.
Okay, they're all alike. Now, did they train you separately from the white soldiers?
Yeah.
Okay. The sergeants who trained you, now, were any of them black, or were they all?
Yeah, we had a black lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
We had, I think, a couple of black officers.
Okay. So you got a few. All right.
There were white officers, lieutenants, and then had to honor them.
Yeah. So some of the sergeants might have been black, so the non-commissioned officers,
Yeah.
right? But those are the guys who really train you.
Right.
All right. Now, what did the training consist of?
Well, exercises and how to, well, before they really go to training, how to assemble a gun and put them back.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we had to go out on the firing range and shoot.
Mm-hmm. Now, had you ever done any shooting before, or done any hunting or anything like that?
Only hunting rabbits.
Okay, so you could do okay with the shooting part of things.
Yeah.
All right. Now, did they put a lot of emphasis on military discipline, on following orders?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, was it easy or hard for you to learn to do that, to follow orders?
It was easy.
Okay. Now, the men you were training alongside, were some of them from the north, or were they all from the south?
All over.
Okay. Now, did the ones coming down from the north, did they have a harder time with the Army than you guys did, or pretty much the same?
Pretty much the same.
Okay.
It depends on you. You know, you had to take all, you had to do the thing right, so we had some to put in stockade and some we couldn't have them.
Mm-hmm. Now, in general, did the people who were training you, did they treat you fairly?
Yeah.
Okay, so you understood what they were doing, and,
Right.
and you could do that. All right. Now, what about the white officers? How did they behave?
They was good.
Were they Southerners, or?
They were from all over.
Okay. So they weren't just putting you with Southern whites, and sometimes they did that, so that's why I asked. All right. Now, you have basic training there. Now, did you get more specialized training there, or did they just put you on a boat and send you overseas?
They put us on a boat and overseas. We went to North Africa.
All right. Now, do you remember what port you shipped out of? Did you go out of Virginia or New York or
No, I can't remember.
That's okay.
Word for word.
All right. Now, how did they get you out to the coast? Did they put you on a train for that, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, had you ever taken a long train ride before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you've done some of
Used to hold around.
that. Okay. When you did that, hoboing around, how far did you travel?
Maybe 100 miles. Yeah, it's young boys that catch a boat, catch a train and freight train and go up to Memphis and to different things.
Okay, so you weren't, it wasn't like you were going to California or something.
No.
So this was kind of a longer train trip that you had. Okay. Now, what do you remember about the boat that you sailed on? Like, was it big ship, small one?
The big ship was a Navy ship, but it was, I don't know, it was bad. It made us, lots of us sick.
Mm-hmm.
And we slept on the deck, and after that they opened up that thing and had it out there, and we went on across.
Okay. Now, did they try keeping you down in the hold initially or below deck, or did
No,
you?
you was free to roam.
Okay.
To roam.
Do you have an idea how many soldiers were sailing on that boat? Like a few hundred or 1,000 or?
Maybe 200 or 300.
Okay.
Hard to remember.
All right. But it had a Navy crew. It wasn't a merchant ship or something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, did you sail in a convoy? Were there other ships around?
I think so, yeah, but for protection we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. And do you remember if the convoy kind of went in a zigzag? Did they change course and go back and forth?
Back and forth. And
Yeah. Now, while you were sailing over the ocean, were there any U-boat scares? Did the German submarines show up?
only once they spotted one. But they said no PT, boats whatever they call them, they went out and they,
Okay, so they chased them off.
all right.
All right, okay, so they didn't shoot a torpedo at your ship or anything like that. Do you know if any of the ships in the convoy got hit, or did you hear any explosions? Or
No,
okay, all right. Now, do you have an idea about how long it took you to get across the ocean?
no, I don't.
Okay, it might have been 2 weeks, might have been 3 weeks.
Something like that.
Yeah, okay. Now, do you know where you landed in North Africa?
Oran,
Okay.
a little town called Oran.
Oran, yeah, that's in Algeria. All right. Okay. And when they landed you there, did they march you off to a camp someplace, or did they load you up on trucks, or what?
They loaded us on trucks and taking us to a camp.
Okay. And when you got to that camp, what did you do?
I was a cook, so I went to the kitchen. I'd take the easy way out.
Now, had you had any training as a cook? Or they just told you you're a cook?
I just went for classes back in the United States.
Okay.
They said I want to be a cook.
Okay. Well, now, did you do that after you were in the Army?
All the time I was in the Army.
Okay. So you did get some training beyond just
Oh, yeah.
the very basic training. You
Right.
got something about being a cook. Well, when they trained you to be a cook, what did they tell you?
They just give it, they said, now you're a cook.
They said,
We had to go to school to learn about different things and different ways to prepare food.
okay. All right. And, okay, so you go in a cook. Now, were you cooking for the whole battalion? Were you one of a group of men doing
Just
that?
our potato, we had around 30, about 30, 35 minutes already.
Okay.
Cook for them.
Okay, so that's probably sort of a platoon or company-sized
Yeah.
unit, a part of the battalion.
Yeah.
All right. So the same group of guys that you cook for. Now, did you bunk with them and stay with them, or did the cooks
Yeah,
go?
we all stayed in the same place.
All right. Now, what kind of country were you camped in? Was it desert or rocky, or were there farms? Or
No, we didn't camp out. We mostly, they taking houses or big house, places like that where to stay in. We didn't have to sleep out in tents.
okay. So when you were in Africa, you had houses or there were buildings you could stay in there.
Right.
Okay. Now, what were the rest of the men doing at that time? You're cooking, but what are they doing?
Well, building roads and building places for soldiers that were coming in. We were like advanced soldiers. We go clean up, make places for the soldiers coming in. And go and leave and go somewhere else.
Okay, because the Allies are using North Africa as a base, and they're attacking Sicily and Italy. They're going on from there, but a lot of men come through there first.
That's right.
So you're building the facilities and the roads and the
Right.
camps and the rest for them. All right. Now, when you were in North Africa there, did you see much of the local population? Were there any of the Arabs around?
Yeah, there were lots of them.
Okay. And did you associate with them at all, or did they stay away from you?
We did. They was friendly.
Okay. Now, were they, do you think they were friendlier to you than they were to the white soldiers, or?
But I don't know.
Could tell.
about that.
Okay.
Those laws were mixed.
Mm-hmm.
If you give them, you know, food, and if you give them stuff that you didn't have no problem out of it.
Did they have any of them working at your camp or on the base, or would they just kind of come around?
They hired a few of them. Some you could find that would speak English in there, and they would let them work.
Okay, so they could understand you when you told them what to do.
Right.
Yeah. Did any of them work in the kitchens, or did they do other things?
No.
Okay. All right. Now, was it possible to go off the base and go into the towns or villages or that kind of thing?
No, not unless you had a pass. You give you a pass. Some were slip and go, but you really had a pass. Had to have a pass to go.
Okay. Now, you said you were kind of the advanced men. Does that mean you moved from place to place?
Right.
All right. And do you have an idea overall about how long you stayed in North Africa?
I don't know, 6. Not too long because we left. We didn't do no basic training there.
No.
That was just where we landed at.
Okay. So you didn't stay in Africa, but you did some work in Africa. You were building things and so forth. You're staying there for a while. Do you think you were there a few months, or?
About 6 months.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds all right. And then from there, where did you go next?
Italy.
Okay, you go to Italy. Then did you land at Naples? Was that it, or somewhere?
Oran.
Well, Oran's in Africa.
Yeah.
But you got to get on a boat if you're going to get to Italy.
Yeah.
So, what part of Italy then did you go into? Or what town were you close to?
We was quite a ways. Naples, Italy.
Yeah. Because that was the big harbor and the big
Yeah,
base. Okay. Now, did you stay close to Naples, or did you go inland someplace?
We were on in there.
Okay. And then once you got to Italy, what was your unit doing?
We were doing the same thing. Hauling stuff to the front, building and repairing.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you ever have to help out with any of that kind of work?
No.
Okay. You just got to be the cook.
We could.
All right. Now, were you older than some of the other guys you were working with?
No.
Okay, you're all about the same age?
Same age. Yeah.
All right. Now, were there some men who were older, 5, 10 years older than you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And were they just other enlisted men, or were they sergeants, or?
Most of the enlisted men.
Okay. Now, did you have sort of a daily routine when you were in Italy? Like, what did you do every day?
Then when I was a cook, we had to cook a day on, day off, day on, day off.
So when you had a day on, when did you have to get up?
The rest like the rest of them.
But did you have to get up earlier than the regular soldiers because you had to feed them, or?
When we were cooking, we did.
Yeah. All right. And then, what kinds of stuff were you cooking? And was it all canned stuff, or did you have fresh food, or?
It was We had fresh food at the time, and most were canned.
Mm-hmm.
Just because to have fresh fruit, meat and stuff like that, there's no refrigeration, so
Mm-hmm.
that reason we just couldn't carry it. In some places that kids really had to cook it that day.
Right. Okay. Now, would the Army sometimes give you a shipment of meat or vegetables or fresh fruit or that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
On Sundays we had a very good sandwich and fruit and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So you do a little better. All right. Now, so when you had a day when you were on and you were cooking, how many hours do you think you worked?
Well, I was just gonna say, because we cook lunch, then after that, they go to come back and cook dinner.
So it's pretty much all day.
All day, yeah.
All right. Okay. Now, on the days when you were off, what did you do?
Just lay around the camp if we didn't get a pass to go out and lay around the camp, sleep and mess around.
All right. Now, were you able to get a pass sometimes?
Oh yeah, it was easy to get a pass.
Okay. And what could you do then when you went off the base?
Went to town and drank and, had a good time.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, yeah, how did the battalion civilians act toward you?
They act all right. They act trying to, white first time we was there, after they got to know us then, it was all right. It was segregation, like I would say.
Right. Yeah. What did the white soldiers tell them about you?
Should I say?
Sure.
We were monkeys with long tails. That's really what they told them.
Mm-hmm.
That we were swinging from the trees. And they really told them that when we was in Italy. Because they told us they want to see that we have tails.
And they learned otherwise.
And they learned otherwise. They turned against them most of the time.
All right. Yeah, because so in Italy they didn't have a segregated system. They didn't have the same kind of thing they had in the South.
No.
Yeah, so you were just people at that point. Now, did the civilians like you? You had money. You could spend money, and
We spent money. They was good. They were good too. They would take it into their homes, and I made lots of friends.
And were there some of them who could speak some English?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Now, if they talk to you, what would they talk to you about? Just chit chat, or they talk?
Yeah, they want to know what they heard was going on in the over here, so they had to tell them what happened, what was going on.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, how close did you ever get to the actual fighting?
Pretty close, because lots of time we would fix hot dinners in our camp up near the front. Then one time I suggested I said, well, I'd really like to go to the front. He said, would you like to go up there? Yeah, so we got everybody dressed up and got a rifle, and we went quite a ways up there and then started shooting until we had to go and had to leave.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, in Italy, there was actually a black infantry division.
Yeah.
92nd Division
Right.
was up there. Did you go up to their part of the front, or did you go somewhere else?
Somewhere else.
Okay. All right. Did you ever see any German aircraft, or
Oh yeah.
would they come and bomb the places where you were working?
Oh yeah, we had to run. Most of us, we made dugouts. We made our own places
Okay.
to go in the raid come.
So they were trying to stop you from building whatever you were building,
Right.
yeah, or attack the bridges. Now, did any of the men in your unit get hit? Did you take casualties?
Yeah. Once it was two twins that they were standing one behind the other, and a piece of scrap hit a pencil in one, and it went through his heart and into the other one, and killed the first one, and the other one went he went crazy after that because they was
Right.
always together, and so they stopped putting twins like that still in the same place.
Right. Now, was that pretty unusual, though, just to have anyone get killed? Did you have other men who would get hit by shrapnel or bomb fragments or once in a while?
Yeah, once in a while, but not in our outfit. You know, you hear of it, not in our
Right.
outfit.
Okay. Were you ever close enough to the Germans that they would shoot artillery at you?
No, no, we never did.
Okay, so just an occasional airplane would come in
Come
and
on,
drop
yeah.
on you, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, did you see much of our own airplanes? Were there American air?
We would see them going over.
All right. And then, let's see, did you know anything about the Tuskegee Airmen who were down there at the time?
No.
Hear about them later, because they were based in Italy too. All right. Now, do you have an idea about how long you spent in Italy?
That's been over 2 years. I was over there 2 years, 3 months,
Okay,
and 7 days.
it's a long time. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And over the course of that time, did you move farther north in Italy as we pushed the Germans back, or did you always stay in the same area?
Stayed same area, well.
All right. But would you have missions sometimes where you'd go up farther north for one thing or another and then come back? Or?
No,
Mostly
we
stayed
didn't
there.
have to.
Okay. So probably when you're getting up closer to the front, that might have been in the first part of your stay, because we pushed the Germans north over the course of that time.
We were just to build bridges and
Mhm.
build places for the soldiers to stay.
Right.
We didn't have to do no fighting.
Yeah. Now, did you ever get a chance to go up to Rome?
Who?
To Rome, is the capital?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Every time I got to say I went to Rome. We went to Rome. Yes, could see there we seen it that then when they prize fighting and bullfighting and all that, I saw that. He was pretty well demolished.
All right. And when you went up to Rome, how did you get there?
Well, we went by truck,
Okay. Now, did they send a group of you at once, or did you just hitch with somebody?
a group.
Okay. Now, did they take you around to the regular tourist sites? Did you get,
No, just went to Rome
and then,
and was on our own.
okay. All right. And about how long did you get to stay?
It was just overnight thing.
Okay. Now, did they give you a place to stay, or?
Yeah, we had a place to stay. Sometimes we would rent a place, you know,
Mhm.
but just get a room. We didn't want to stay there.
All right. Now, when there's the army, when they're letting you go into Naples or into Rome or whatever, now, are they giving you any warnings about what to be careful about, whether it's diseases or crime or that kind of thing?
Right.
All right. Now, did any of the guys in your unit get themselves into trouble?
Yeah, some of them.
What kinds of stuff might happen to them?
Well, we had some in one of the outfits that they killed a lieutenant. They were bad boys from Chicago anyway. So they put them in a stockade and they broke out. And last I heard of them, they hung 2 of them. One got away, and I was luckily in Chicago and seen one of them. I don't never know if they ever caught him or not, but they killed 2 of them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Did they get in trouble with the civilians at all, or
No,
not the same way?
they
Okay.
were just bad guys.
All right. Now, did you have? Were there some guys who were your close friends or your buddies that you hung around with a lot?
Yeah, a couple of them.
And do you remember any of them, their names or anything about them?
The main one was named was Thomas Moloch. He was about the best one,
And where was he from?
Baltimore.
Okay. And did you ever hear from him after the war, or just kind of went separate ways?
No, well, we got separated and then we did.
Okay. Now you were away from home and overseas for, between training in Africa and Italy for like the better part of 3 years or so.
Right.
All right. Now, did you write home at all? Did you write to your mother? Or?
Oh, yeah.
And would she write back to you regularly, or?
Right.
Did you have anybody else at home that you were in touch with, or just her?
That's right.
Okay. How did she feel about your going into the Army?
Well, she didn't want me to, but nothing she could do about it.
Oh, you're too old. All right. Now, if you think back to the time that you spent in Africa, Italy, are there particular events or things that happened to you that kind of stand out in your memory?
No.
Okay, just kind of the whole general thing. All right. Now, do you remember hearing about the war ending, the Germans surrendering?
Yeah.
Okay. And was there any kind of response in your camp when you got that news?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think after that we must have shipped back to the United States.
Did you stay in Italy a while before that, or was it pretty quickly after the Germans surrendered?
Quickly after.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're in Italy for a couple of years, you probably did get over to Africa in '43 and train 42. Okay. Now, were you loaded on the same kind of ship to go back that you took over, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was the trip back any easier than the trip over?
No, it wasn't the same. We didn't have to be scared by being bombed or nothing like
Yeah.
that.
What was the weather like?
It was nice.
Okay. So you didn't get too sick?
No.
Oh.
I got seasick going over there.
Mhm.
Ooh, you want to die.
Was it stormy, or you just weren't used to it?
They were used to it, and that ship was nasty and it just made you sick. And then after they clean it out, everybody got all right.
Mm-hmm.
Then we started slept on deck.
Right.
Want to go back down there.
Right. Okay, so you kind of learned that, so you know that to go back the other way. All right. Now, do you remember where you landed when you got back to the States, where you came into?
Oh, no, New England. I think it was New England State.
Well, you might have come into Boston, because a lot of ships went there,
Yeah.
or New York or New Jersey, but you think probably Boston if it's New
Boston,
England.
yeah.
Yeah, all right. And then, did they discharge you there, or did they send you someplace else?
No, they sent me to a camp. We went to a camp
Now, was that still up in Massachusetts, or was that somewhere else?
somewhere else, but I can't remember now where.
Would they send you back to Fort Knox, or just back home, or?
It was a place where they sent us Fort Knox, Kentucky, no, Mississippi.
Okay,
Mississippi, where we
probably, because they usually send you back to the area where you enlisted, and they discharge you out of there. Okay. Now, once you got out of the Army, what did you do next?
Well, I went back to work for a while. Because where I was working at, they had to give me a job when I got back. So
Right.
they gave me a job, and I worked a while. And then I went and worked in the lumber yard. That was hot. Then I come up here and started working in a Martin House, a hotel
Okay, and where was that? Was that in Grand Rapids, or?
here.
Okay. How did you wind up coming up to Grand Rapids?
I had an uncle who was already up here. And he saw me working on the lumber yard down there. He said, "It's too hot. You come up here, and I'll get you a job where I work at." So
Okay.
I come up there, and he gave me a job at Martin House here. And next day after I got here, I went to work there till I left there.
And where did you work after that?
Oh, it was to come to make tables, these tables.
Okay. So furniture company.
Furniture coming in there. I said, well, I got 60 years old. I looked at the man and said, well, Don't call me, I call you.
All right. Now, in the meantime, did you get married and have a family?
Yeah.
Okay. And remember what year you got married?
No, I don't.
All right. Yeah.
My daughter now, she's 64. I was young when her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. You just have the one daughter?
Yeah.
Okay.
One daughter and 2 sons.
Okay. All right. Do you think back about the time that you spent in the Army? What kind of effect do you think that had on you? Did you change at all or learn anything?
No.
All right. If you had it to do over again, would you have enlisted again or just stayed home?
Well, it's hard to say. No, I don't think I would enlist no more. But some did. I had a chance to.
Did they want you to stay in the Army?
No, after we got out, they told us we could re-enlist. Some did, but
Yeah.
says no, I had enough, but I go home.
All right. What was it about the Army that made you not want to stay?
Well, it's kept you away from, your people, your friends, and things like that.
And it didn't give you enough of a family to replace what you had?
Yes, no.
Yeah. All right. All right then. I think that pretty well takes care of it. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right.
I hope it was a good one.
That's useful.